Good afternoon, everybody. So it's me, Mr. Mia again. We're about to finish school year, so this is the most important part of the end of the school year. What we're going to be doing in reading class is that we're going to be doing a presentation. Yay, presentation. In the presentation, we're going to be presenting the stories that you've read already. So the stories that I sent to you and you've read, then there's no problem since you already read them, you have an idea, right? Okay, so we're going to be learning about the plot of the story, and you're going to be explaining it in your video presentation. So let's look at this. What is the plot? First, the plot is what's going on in all of the story, the different parts of the story. That's the plot. Okay, so let's start with the introduction, also called the exposition. Introduction or exposition is the same thing. So in the introduction, you're going to be introducing the characters of the story and the setting of the story. Okay, so for example, if my story is Little Red Riding Hood, my story is Little Red Riding Hood, then the setting of the story will be the forest and Grandma's house. And the characters of the story would be Little Red Riding Hood, the grandmother, the guy, the woodworker that kills the wolf, and those would be the different characters of the story, right? Okay, so that would be the introduction. Then is the rising action. In the rising action, I want you to explain what are the events that lead up to the main problem. So for example, in the story of Little Red Riding Hood, the rising action that goes up is when the wolf goes to the grandmother's house and fools her, right? That would be the rising action. Or when Little Red Riding Hood is going on her way to the grandmother's house. Then the climax is the main action of the story. That's the main thing that's happening in the story. So in the climax is when the main problem is occurring. For example, in my story of Little Red Riding Hood, the climax would be when the wolf eats the grandmother. When the wolf eats the grandmother and Little Red Riding Hood has to go to the house there, and the wolf tries to eat her as well, right? Then the following action is how the story is resolving itself. What's happening almost at the end, right? Almost at the end of the story. So that's when, in my story, is when Little Red Riding Hood calls for help, and the lumberjack goes to help them with his axe, right? In my story. And your story is going to be different. In the resolution is the conclusion. What happens at the end of the story? How is the story resolved? And what is the moral of the story, or the moraleja, right? That would be the end of the story. Okay, so this is the plot. I'm going to send you guys a document explaining each one of these parts in case you forget from this video. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to follow the instructions of the platform. You're going to be watching this video, and then you're going to make your own video with a presentation of your story. I'm going to assign you with a different story than your classmates. So you're going to get, each one of you will get a different story. Some of you might get the same story because there are not that many. But most of you are going to be having a different story. So you're going to be explaining in your story what is the introduction in your story, what is the rising action in your story, what is the climax in your story, the falling action in your story, and the resolution in your story, right? Alright, thank you guys. In case you need any help, then you gotta call me or send me a WhatsApp. Alright, goodbye.